I am 89 years old, and I want to tell you something that I am not proud of. For the first 87 years of my life, I was afraid. Not the kind of afraid you feel when a car swerves into your lane. No, the quiet kind. The kind that wears a suit and shakes your hand and tells you it is just being responsible. The kind of afraid that never screams. It just hums. Low and constant, underneath everything, until you can barely hear yourself think. I lived with that hum for nearly 9 decades, and I want to look you in the eye right now and tell you, that hum almost stole everything from me. Almost. I am a retired schoolteacher. 41 years in a classroom in Birmingham, Alabama, teaching history to teenagers who mostly didn't want to hear it. 3 children, 7 grandchildren. I buried my wife, Dorothy, in 2019, 46 years of marriage. I have seen enough of this life to know what I'm talking about. And what I'm talking about is this. The thing you keep putting off, the dream you keep folding up like an old letter and sliding under the mattress, is not waiting patiently for you. It is slowly dying, and when it dies, a piece of you dies with it. I know, because I watched both happen. And then, at 87 years old, I finally stopped watching. I want to tell you about my friend Curtis. Curtis Raymond was his full name, and he wore the same brown corduroy jacket to work for 16 years. I am not exaggerating. 16 years. The elbows were shiny from the desk. He taught mathematics at the same school I did, sat 3 classrooms down from me, ate lunch at the same table every single Tuesday and Thursday, because Monday, Wednesday, and Friday he went home for lunch to let his dog out. His name was Curtis Raymond, and his life was a precise, calibrated, immovable machine. He was proud of that machine. He talked about it like it was an achievement. We were friends for 32 years. Colleagues first, then genuinely friends. The kind of friend where you don't have to talk the whole time you're together. Sometimes we'd sit on his back porch after school, him with a glass of sweet tea, me with my coffee, and neither of us would say a word for 20 minutes. That was enough. Curtis had a dream. He told me about it once in 1987, and I don't think he told many other people. He wanted to sail. Not vacation sailing, not renting a boat for a weekend. He wanted to sail the Gulf of Mexico, coast to coast, just him and open water. He had an old notebook filled with route maps he'd sketched himself, notes on weather patterns, names of ports. He'd been building it in that notebook since he was 23 years old. He showed it to me with the energy of a much younger man, eyes lit up, voice faster than usual. I told him I thought he should do it. I meant it. He said, "One day, James, when the time is right." Curtis retired at 67. He had money saved. His kids were grown. His dog had passed on, bless it. He had every single thing he needed to sail that gulf. And he didn't. He told himself his knees weren't right. Then he told himself he'd wait until spring, then summer, then his daughter had a baby, and he wanted to stay close for the first year. Then both knees needed surgery. Then the pandemic locked everything down. Curtis Raymond, with his notebook full of maps, died in February 2021 at age 79. The notebook was on his nightstand. His daughter called me after the service. She said, "Daddy talked about that trip right up until the end." She said he cried about it once when he was very ill. Just once. But she remembered it. I put the phone down And I sat in this same chair I'm sitting in right now, and I did not move for a long time. Because I understood exactly what Curtis had done, because I had been doing the same thing. For 62 years, I had been meaning to perform. I played piano from the time I was 11. My mother saved up and got me lessons from a woman named Mrs. Vera Smith, who lived 2 streets over and smelled of lavender and wore her hair pinned up with tortoiseshell clips. I loved it, truly loved it. Not the way you love a hobby, the way you love something that makes you feel like yourself. I played jazz. My fingers knew it before my mind did. Thelonious Monk, Oscar Peterson, Bill Evans. I played in my bedroom, I played at church, I played at family gatherings and school events. Everyone said I had it. Teachers, my father. Dorothy, from the first moment she heard me, looked at me and said, "James, that is not a hobby. That is who you are." But I never played on a real stage. Not once. The opportunity came up several times in my 20s. There were clubs in Birmingham, small venues, open nights. Each time I found a reason not to go. I was too busy. I wasn't ready. The musicians were better than me. I needed more practice. The hum, you understand. The hum kept talking and I kept listening. By the time I was 30, teaching had taken over. Life had taken over. The piano became the thing I did alone, in the evenings with the door closed. Beautiful and private and entirely mine. Safe, safe. That word, that dangerous, seductive, suffocating word. I want you to stop right now and think about the thing in your life that you have made safe. The dream you have domesticated. The fire you have turned into a candle and put in a corner where it can't spread anywhere. You know what I'm talking about. Don't pretend. You've been feeding it just enough to keep it alive and not enough to let it grow. You've been telling yourself you're being responsible, mature, realistic. But I want to challenge you to consider the possibility that you are not being responsible at all. You are being terrified, and you have renamed your terror wisdom. I did that for 62 years. I called my fear timing. I called it patience. I dressed it up in good language, and I lived behind it like it was a wall instead of a prison. The truth is this, and hear me clearly, safety is not neutral. Safety is a slow erosion. Every year you do not act on what calls to you, you become slightly less yourself. Not all at once. Quietly, the way a riverbank loses soil. You don't notice until one day you look back and the shape of your life looks nothing like who you actually are. Who are you actually? Now let me tell you what happened when I was 87. My youngest granddaughter, Amara, she was 24 at the time, fearless in the way young people sometimes are before the world teaches them to shrink. She called me on a Sunday morning in March of 2023. She said, "Pop, I'm going to New Orleans for Jazz Fest in May. I want you to come with me." I almost said no. The reflex is so deep after 87 years that saying no feels like exhaling. It's easy, natural. I almost did it. But then I heard Curtis's daughter's voice in my head. She cried about it once, just once, but she remembered it. I said yes. We got there on a Thursday. The air in New Orleans in May is thick and warm and smells like rain and trumpet solos. Amara had arranged something she had not told me about. Through a friend of a friend, she had booked me 30 minutes on a small stage at a bar on Frenchman Street called the Spotted Cat. 78 seats, mostly locals. Thursday night. She told me about it Wednesday evening over jambalaya in our hotel restaurant. I put my fork down. My hands went cold. I said, "Amara, I haven't performed in front of people in my entire life." She said, "Pop, you are 87 years old. What exactly are you waiting for?" I did not sleep Wednesday night. I lay in that hotel room and stared at the ceiling and felt 87 years of fear pressing down on my chest like a physical weight. I thought about getting up and calling her and saying I was unwell. I thought about that a long time. And then I thought about Curtis. I walked out onto that stage at 9:15 on a Thursday night in May 2023. I sat down at a rented upright. The crowd was not waiting for me. They were just there, drinking, talking, half paying attention. The spotlight was warm and too bright and slightly tilted. I put my hands on the keys and I played Round Midnight, Thelonious Monk, the song I had first learned at 13 years old in my bedroom in Birmingham, and the room did not stop. It did not go silent like in the movies. 3 people kept talking by the bar. Someone's phone went off. But there was a woman in the front row, about 40 years old, dark hair, green earrings, and she stopped moving and just looked at me. And I played the whole 30 minutes for her. For me. For Curtis. For Mrs. Vera Smith and her tortoiseshell clips. For every version of myself that had said, "Not yet." Here is the paradox I want you to sit with. The people who take the fewest risks end up with the biggest regrets. We have it backwards. We think safety equals peace. We think caution protects us. But from what? From embarrassment? From failing? Let me tell you something. Embarrassment heals. Failure teaches. Regret at 79 years old with a notebook of maps on your nightstand does neither. The danger is not the risk. The danger is the absence of it. I have talked to a lot of people who are old now. I mean genuinely old. And I have never, not once, heard a person say, "I wish I had taken fewer chances." Never. Not one time. But I have heard the other sentence more times than I can count. And it sounds the same every time, regardless of whether the person is speaking quietly or weeping. It sounds like I should have. Your generation have been sold comfort as the goal, convenience, optimization, frictionless living, everything designed to make you feel nothing too strongly, risk nothing too boldly, commit to nothing that can't be undone. And I understand the appeal. I do. But comfort and aliveness are not the same thing. You can be completely safe and completely hollow at the same time. I know. I was both for most of my life. Aliveness comes from contact. Contact with the thing that scares you. Contact with what matters. Contact with the real shape of who you are. So here is what I want to leave you with. 5 things, not suggestions, instructions. First, name the thing. Right now, today. Not tomorrow, today. Write down on a piece of paper the one thing you have been postponing because you are afraid. Not because of timing or money or circumstance, because you are afraid. Name it. That is the beginning. Everything starts with having the honesty to name it. Second, stop waiting for readiness. Readiness is a lie. I was not ready when I walked onto that stage at 87. My hands were shaking before I touched the keys. I was not ready, I was willing. Willingness is the only currency that matters. You will never be ready. Be willing instead. Third, find your Amara. Find the person in your life who will not let you shrink, Who will book the stage without asking your permission? Who loves you enough to interrupt your comfortable dying? If you don't have that person, become that person for someone else, and the universe tends to send one back. Fourth, make the time frame real. Curtis always said one day is not a day of the week. It is not on any calendar. One day is where dreams go to disappear. Put a date on it. A real date. May of something. Tuesday the 15th of something. Make it a Tuesday. Tuesdays work just as well as any other day for becoming yourself. Fifth, do the small version today. You cannot fly to New Orleans this afternoon maybe, but you can sit at the instrument. You can write the first paragraph. You can make the phone call. You can buy the notebook, not to plan it someday, but to begin it today. The full version of your dream requires a first step. Take it tonight. Before you sleep, before the hum talks you out of it again. I am 89 years old. I have played piano 3 more times since New Orleans. I am not remarkable. I am not famous. I am an old school teacher from Birmingham with arthritic knuckles and a chamomile tea habit and 7 grandchildren who mostly argue about their phones. But I know something now that I wish with everything in me I had known at 30, at 40, at 50, at 60, at 70, and I am telling you right now, the life that feels most alive is waiting on the other side of the thing that scares you. Not a perfect version of you, not a prepared version of you, just the version that finally said yes. Curtis had that notebook for 56 years. Don't be Curtis, be the person who sails. That's all I've got. Go on now.